everybody, it is Dean Z, and I am once again in the moot courtroom at Michigan Law School, but I am today doing my best imitation of Judge Judy. My idea for today's episode came from our new assistant director, Valerie, who mentioned something to me in a conversation that had been surprising to her, and I thought, what would be more fun than hearing all the things that were surprising to Valerie about the admissions world, because she didn't have any experience in admissions before she started working for us, and she also didn't have any experience at Michigan because she had gone to a different law school. So I asked her to put together a list for me of the things that she found surprising, and I thought that would be fun to share with you guys. So let's get started on that. Number one, she said, I did not know you could solicit fee waivers. So if you are applying to law schools, many law schools charge you a fee to apply. Michigan's is $75, and that can really add up quickly. Now, law schools often will offer fee waivers to people just as a matter of course. They get information from the Law School Admissions Council, and they will send you an email telling you you have a fee waiver. But you can also ask for fee waivers. Now, many schools will just say no, but it doesn't hurt to ask, and many schools have need-based fee waivers or fee waivers for people who've had certain kinds of jobs, for example. So there are lots of different ways to cut down on your costs for applying to law school by trying to get schools to waive your fee to apply. And I know the paranoia of law students, so you might be thinking, but they'll keep track of that and they will not like me because I asked for that. No, it's just like two different things entirely. The people who process the fee waivers have nothing to do with the people who read the application, and that information never gets from one place into the other place. So you are safe. I mean, I would always be polite. That is always the default recommendation I would have for any inquiry you are making of a law school, but there is no reason not to ask if you can reduce your costs by getting a fee waiver. So Valerie didn't know it. You probably may not know it either. So second, rolling admissions. Valerie, like many of you, was so sure that rolling admissions meant you better apply the first day you possibly can. Like if you're applying on, if it opens on September 1st and you apply on September 3rd, you are already behind the curve. No, that is not true. Certainly, if you are applying before November, you are applying early in the law school admissions process, early. If you are applying before January 1st, you are applying in a timeline that should not be any disadvantage to you whatsoever. If you're applying after January, I still think that for most schools, it will not affect your chances of getting in, but it isn't great for you because things definitely do slow down if you apply after January, because that is frankly when most people apply. But the point here is that Valerie also had to learn what it meant to apply early in the process versus late in the process, and she was very surprised to know that there was much more forgiveness, much more play in the joints in terms of the rolling process than she had thought when she was a law school applicant. This next one I think is funny because she says the answer to almost every question is available on a law school's website. It's not quite true, but it's kind of true. Now it can be hard to find. I personally find trying to get around any websites, after about 30 seconds, I lose patience. So I would also just email. I think it's easier. And we are very happy to answer your emails. But if you don't feel like writing an email, or it's 3 in the morning and you want an answer right now, chances are you will be able to find it on the law school's website. Just Google. It's probably there waiting for you. Next one, she said she was surprised to know how much time and money and effort admissions offices spend in traveling around the country to meet prospective applicants. She had been unaware of that, and that's totally understandable because you, as an applicant, are in just like one geographic location, and maybe you'll get to meet at a law school wherever you are, or maybe you won't, but you aren't really thinking about how they're traveling all around the country just because they're in your town. So there's a couple interesting parts of that. Number one, it shows if they are coming to your school, they are pretty interested in that school, because it does take, time is finite, money is finite. So if we are going to visit you, that's a strong signal of interest in your alma mater. Second, you should know that we think these are useful interactions to have. So you should definitely think about attending one if you can, and bringing any questions you have, and hopefully you'll get some good answers and have some fun conversations along the way. Then she had a piece of advice. She said, she says there's a right time for every request. And I like this. She was talking about, we often have people who ask to be connected to faculty or students when they're in the application stage, usually because they want to know more about the school and they think this will be a good way to do it. But there are a lot more applicants than there are students or faculty. So we do not make those connections until after someone has been admitted. So don't think that just because a school says, no, we can't do that right now, that you have done something wrong to ask, or that they won't be very happy to do it later in the season. Valerie also had an interesting point about this, people who send emails to faculty who they don't know just to try to solicit information about the school. She says she thinks this is because of many grad schools and med school programs. Faculty have a very strong role in the process, and that's not really the case in most law school admissions offices that I know of. So you shouldn't think that you need to do that in order to get an edge in the process. It's just not really part of our process. But she thinks that might create confusion because it is a part of the process of some other kinds of schools. And the final thing that she found very surprising was to know that many law schools offer lots of financial aid, and that the cost of tuition that is on the website is, in many cases, not the cost that an individual applicant will actually have to pay. Now, I've already done an episode a few episodes ago about financial aid, so if you have more interest in that, you should check that one out. But it is true that it can seem very discouraging when you are at the front end and you're applying and you're looking at the cost of tuition. But you should know the chances are very good that you will be getting some scholarship money from many schools, and that your costs will end up being lower than you are right now contemplating. So be encouraged about that. Okay, so that was all of the questions, all of the insight that Valerie has gleaned in the last 6 or 7 weeks on the job. I hope that was a good peek behind the scenes at admissions for you, and maybe made you feel like, well, if I didn't know that and Valerie didn't know it, then I guess there is nothing wrong with my not knowing it. All right, now let's talk about grammar. Me versus I. I was kind of surprised to find out that I hadn't actually already done this because it's such a basic one. And maybe I have, but Dustin thinks I haven't. So I trust Dustin's memory more than mine. So, and even if I have done it, I'm going to say it again because I have just in the last few weeks seen so many mistakes with me and I. In fact, I've gotten a lot of political solicitations. I think probably everybody gets these at this time of year, but where the subject line actually got it wrong. And I just thought, do they not know how important grammar is? Like, how can you vote for somebody who has a grammar mistake? Maybe not the right way to think about voting, but whatever. So me versus I, it's a very simple rule. I think there's something about subjects and objects, but I don't do grammar that way. I don't know the formal rules for everything. There's a very simple rule, which is first of all, don't use I reflexively. I think people think I sounds a little fancier than me, but it's not. It's just a right or wrong thing. It's not a fancy, not fancy thing. So if you are saying, usually the mistake crops up when you're talking about two people. So you might say, Dustin and I do a vlog series together, and that is correct. So you would say then, without Dustin, you would say, I do a vlog series together. So if you add Dustin in, that's very easy, Dustin and I. So if you have any confusion, just take out the other person and think, how do I say it if it's just I? And then that will lead you to the right answer. You wouldn't say, me do a vlog series. You wouldn't say, Dustin and me do a vlog series. So that's one that really, I think, does drive me a little crazy and really jumps out at me. And I think I can't possibly be alone. So that's one to try to master if you possibly can. All right. And that's all I have for us today. Thank you, as always, for watching. Please give us your ideas for other episodes or questions you want us to answer by putting comments below or emailing us at law.jd.admissions@umich.edu. And today I have two thank yous. My usual thank you to Dustin, without whom I could do nothing, but also a thank you today to Mr. Dean Z, who probably won't be watching, but he did save me from utter humiliation because I was wearing a green sweater because I forgot we were doing a video today. And he drove to the law school and brought me something that wasn't green, which was very kind of him. So, wherever you go, go blue.